Blog Talk Radio.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is Lori Smith on blogtalkradio.com, and I'm here today. We're talking about child abuse prevention and human rights abuse prevention is up to us, and I'm so happy to be here today, and I hope that you will be able to join me and tune in and hear some great information I've got today. I actually wanted to do this on my last show, but I couldn't get into my last show. I was having it took me an hour of going around and around trying to get into my show, and so I just had to give up eventually, and then I canceled the other two, which were on Christmas, just because I thought, I need a break anyway, and so sorry about that, because I did miss you all, and I'm glad to be back here. I had some great information that I wanted to share with you, and I'm still going to do the same show that I was going to do then, because it's such good information, and I wanted to talk to you this morning about a website that I know of, and it's a lady that I know, Linda, and she's an artist, and she's got some great stuff to share, and she's got a great website, artbylindalee.com, and I'll go www.artbylindalee.com, and you can just go on there and check that out. She's got some great information there and some beautiful artwork, and she's a really lovely lady, and my heart's just with her, and I just stand and support her in everything that she does. And I actually asked her if I could go ahead and do just a quick sort of a bio and just to talk about her website and stuff on the air, and she said, yeah, no problem. And so I'm just so glad to be able to share this with you today. It's so important to me. I know it's probably really important to so many people out there who might listen to this show and hear this show, that there are websites out there with lots of great information regarding survivor issues and child abuse. And this is www.artbylindalee.com, and I'm just going to quote what her page says. A survivor of child. This is where her bio says, a survivor of child abuse, participant of the Child Abuse Monument Project. She has found comfort and healing in writing and utilizing her artistic abilities through art. Linda Lee says, never give up. And if you go on to her website, you can see she's got her bio there, and she also asks that everybody who goes to check her website out, make sure you sign the guest book. And she's got resources on there. She's got faith-based links, as well as professional counselor links, and help job wanted links, suicide prevention links, and child abuse prevention links. So this is a great website that she's got going, and it's great to support people like her who are doing work to help prevent child abuse and human rights abuses of all kinds. And I just give her a lot of support and just commendation for standing up and saying, no, this needs to stop. And the more voices out there, the better off the world will be, because everyone needs to get involved. And whether you're a survivor or not, chances are you will know someone who is, and it will be right in your circle. They'll be right in your circle of friends, or they'll be in your family, and you need to reach out to them. And it's important. Don't just brush it off. And because these people are just like you and me, and they need encouragement, and they need acceptance. And so I just can't say enough about her. She's done a great job, Linda, and she's up here in Canada, in Toronto. And there's not very many, there's not a whole lot of, like down in the States, because it's such a huge population and such a large, I'm from the States, so I love the United States, and but the population just calls for the demand of more of a public view on child abuse issues. Whereas Canada, the population is so much smaller that it's very much still not in the mainstream child abuse prevention. Usually it's something that says like Safe Kids or things like that. And whoever's doing anything up here is just wonderful. My hats are off to you, but I can't hardly find you because your information's not mainstream. It's not right where I can see it, and I have to really search and dig for anything up here in Canada regarding child abuse and child abuse prevention. So that I'd like to see changed. And I think that because we all know what's happening, we all know what's going on, and the sad part is that it's all being pushed under the rug, and let's not talk about it. Well, no, let's talk about it. And so that's what I'm here to do today. And if you want to join me, you can phone in. This is a live streaming internet radio, blog talk radio show on blogtalkradio.com. And my guest call-in number is area code 917-889-3736. And you're more than welcome to call in. I'm on here for almost a half an hour this morning. And if you have anything you'd like to talk about or questions, or if you'd like to share your story or just mention something that you think is really important, please be sure and call in. And if you want to, you can just scroll down to the bottom. If you register on blogtalkradio.com, you can go down to the bottom of this. You can register as a user, and then you can get in on all these thousands of shows that are on here. Some great information and about all kinds of things. And it's really fun, and you need to get on, check it out. It's really a great medium for people to, there's so much interesting stuff you can learn on here. And I've met some awesome people on here. And so, yeah, you want to get on there and check it out. And if you do register, you can go ahead and sit in the chat rooms, and you can get in on all of this blog talk, radio talk, and it's awesome. I really am finding it a great learning experience. So we'll just continue on. I know that what Linda is doing, she's using her art as part of healing, and she was involved in it's a monument to child abuse. It's up here in Canada, in Toronto, Child Abuse Monument. That's what it's called, the Child Abuse Monument. You can find this just by typing into your browser Child Abuse Monument, but you can also find it at www.irvingstudios.com, and that's www.irvingstudios.com. And this is Michael C. Irving. He's PhD, and he's a sculptor, he's a psychotherapist, and he has created, with the participation of child abuse survivors, a bronze monument to acknowledge and validate childhood abuse victims. The monument honors the spirit and courage of participating survivors, and it empowers survivors to speak out. It is the first major child abuse monument in the world, and its location is Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And you should go onto the web and check it out. It's really awesome. All these participants were, they submitted their artwork, whether it be, a handprint or a sculpture or, other types of artwork, and it was all put into this child abuse monument. And I just think this is just so awesome. What a way for people to be able to, to validate really their abuse and say, look, this is me, I'm putting this here for people to see. And that's really a brave thing to do, and you have to give all these people some real credit for standing up and saying, this is wrong, it needs to stop. Look, it happens to people just like me. And if you don't stand up and say anything, you're just really almost as bad as the person who's doing the abuse, because you're just keeping it silent. So if you know of a child who's being abused, then you need to say something, and you need to stand up, and you need to take a good deep look at your own self and say, look, this child's life is in danger, and I need to make a phone call. You make that phone call, and if you can't find a local number, then you just phone 911, because it's really important. You could save a child's life. And if you're someone who's being abused, you make sure you reach out. If you can't talk to your parents because it's a parent, then talk to a school counselor. If you can't talk to them, call the police, 911. Don't forget that number. And you just make sure that you get the help that you need, because it's really important. And we all know that it's happening, and we all know that it's a shame. And the perpetrators are a lot of times mentally ill, or just were abused themselves, and they can't help themselves. And the stresses and the issues we all know can contribute to this type of behavior, abusive behavior. So, and even if you're a woman growing up, or let's say you grew up in a lovely home, but now you're in a domestic violence situation, make sure you phone 911. Get help. Don't sit there and suffer, and because you do matter, and your life could be in danger, and you need to reach out. So I'd rather you get off, not listen to my show and go get help and make the proper phone calls, because this is so important. And then you can come back and catch my show another time. But I'm just telling you right now, you cannot this is just something that's so important to me, because you could save a life, you could save your own life, you could save your children's lives, you could save a child's life. So make sure that you do make the phone call. If you suspect or even think that a child is being abused, make sure that you make a phone call. Don't let this pass by, and just don't brush it off, because it's very important. Child abuse is killing kids all over the country, actually all over the world right now. Kids are dying. And just dream catchers for abused children. I volunteer for them, and they are down in the States, and they are an awesome organization, 501c3 nonprofit organization, dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com. They're going to have their own blog talk radio show, and Donna Cashier is going to be on there talking with a co-host, and Sandra Potter, the founder. She has set this up, and it's just so awesome. I'm going to be sure and tune in, and I hope that you will too. I'm just giving you a little pre-heads up that they're going to be on Blog Talk Radio, and I hope that you'll tune in and listen to what they have to say. They are putting some good information out there regarding all the abuse that's going on, and I'm telling you, you want to check it out. You will be surprised at what's going on around the country and the world if you will just open up your eyes and see that this is an epidemic and it's a real problem. You know why? Because these are real children that are dying at the hands of people who really are just not capable of looking after them and are killing them. So, you want to stand up and you want to say, no, this is not cool. In your own area, do what you can to spread the message, and dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com is one way to do it. Get involved. Make some noise. Stand up for these kids. It's a shame that it's such a stigma, nobody wants to talk about it, and child sexual abuse, because it's so painful. And unless you've already dealt with it and come through that fire, or come through that trial and the pain of dealing with child abuse, then you wouldn't know what it's like. And but if you are someone who does know it, then you would know what I'm talking about. It's hard to talk about, and until you're ready to talk about it, it's almost just too painful. So that's why I say, if we all need to get the help that we need so that we can move past it and move on past that pain and past the horror, really, of child abuse. And so I just hope that you get something out of this show. Today, I wanted to talk about what I found on the Child Abuse Monument website at www.irvingstudios.com. And that is to create and use personalized coping lists. This is from their self-help area. You can go in onto their website and you can just click up at the top. They have the little buttons, and you can click on the buttons. There's one that says self-help or self-care. And so I clicked on that, and it took me to a page with all kinds of information regarding adult survivors and different things, and all coping lists and things like that. What you can do if you've come through an abusive childhood, and how you can cope. And then, of course, he does offer his own professional advice and care, and you can contact him directly through his website if you're really in need of help. And if you're feeling like you're just unsafe and you're just feeling like you're going to hurt yourself, suicide is never the answer. And I tell you right now, you want to dial 911. Dial 911 and let somebody know. Do not ever think that suicide is the answer, because it's never the answer. And suicide.org is a great reference for that, for people who might be feeling a little suicidal or thinking that they might self-injure themselves. Call someone, 911. Leave this show right now and immediately go and phone 911 and get the help that you need. You know why? Because then I want you to come back on my show and tell me that everything's great and that you're getting the help that you need, and that you will continue to work and walk it out like I am. So make sure you get the help that you need, and do not allow this to take your life. It's not. You are worth it, and you do matter. Excuse me, and you do matter to me. And so I want you to phone me and tell me how you're going to do that. You're going to get the help that you need, and so make sure that you do. So create and use personalized coping lists. I'm reading directly from his page. This is Michael C. Irving, and he's a psychotherapist, and this is right from his page. He says, survivors need, I'm quoting, survivors need a list of normal life activities and self-care. During development, the numbing response to the abuse often meant that though you were physically there, you missed out on the learning skills that other children were experiencing. In addition, neglect is often associated with environments where abuse occurs. A child who is neglected misses out on learning roles and modeling around normal activities. In shutting down against the trauma and pain, the victim of abuse learns to ignore their body and other needs. It becomes easy to neglect self-care needs and wants. Lists can be quite valuable for reference, he says, particularly when you are under stress or when you anticipate stressful circumstances arising. If you reach a point of crisis, they are a must. So I'm quoting right from his page. The more difficult a time you are having, the harder it is to remember the things that help you to manage the stress. In effect, the greater your need is, the less you are able to provide for and look after yourself. Turning to a list that you made when feeling good is a way of using your grounded mind to help you when you are having a difficult time. So this is great information because it's good for me too, and I'm learning a lot as I'm reading this out. I'm learning as well because this is the first time I'm reading it through myself. So we're kind of learning this. We're just doing this together, and this is good information for sure. So when you're feeling good, that's when you make your lists. When you're feeling, stable and somewhat secure and safe and everything, you make your list. And then when you're having trouble thinking things through because something stressful's come up, and maybe you're suffering with PTSD disorder, or you've got some real stress that just brings out a lot of anxiety issues in you. I have a lot of anxiety issues, and then let's say you're just having trouble breathing, you can't focus, and then all of a sudden you forget what used to help you out before, so you don't remember, and then it doesn't help you in the long run. So if you create these lists, you and I create these lists, we can get these lists as soon as we start feeling stressed out or that same stressor. We can pull this list out and we can say, okay, here's my list. Let me go through my list. And it can bring you back to a level of grounding that brings you back to where you need to be. And so maybe that's probably what he's trying to say there. And he says, write down even the obvious. Some things on your coping lists may seem obvious when all is going well, but the obvious is not always easily available when you are facing despair or flashbacks. The mind numbs and fogs out as a means of getting through overwhelming feelings. When you are in a triggered state, it may not occur to you to go for a brisk walk or to ask yourself if you've eaten. If you turn to a list, something is likely to stand out, and you can benefit from doing that activity. So make your list over a period of time rather than all at once, he says. This is from Michael C. Irving's website. Work on the list at different times of the day when you are in different moods. Your perceptions, creativity, and problem-solving abilities change dramatically while feeling good, bad, angry, tired, or empowered. The various insights from each of these moods have their own unique strengths. As stated before, write down the obvious along with your other less obvious strategies for coping. So this is good information. So yeah, when everything's going well, of course it all you see some of the stuff that's obvious if it's going well, but there's other things when you're in a triggered state that you might not remember that helped you out. Like for instance, he says a brisk walk, or to ask yourself if you have eaten. If you have a list, you can look through it and you can say, oh, okay, right, this worked before. I can go back and I can go for that walk because I remembered that when I went for that walk, it helped me out. So this is really good information for me too. And he says, I'll just continue on down the page. He says, vary between the novel and the familiar. When using a stress reduction and coping technique, occasionally vary what you do. The technique you use every time to relax will eventually grow stale and may lose much of the original effect. Conversely, use some of your tried and true responses because as they become habitual, they click on easily due to familiarity. So I guess you sort of change it up and change things around a little bit, and that way, it doesn't become just sort of routine, because then if it's routine, it might not, I guess he's saying it would kind of go stale, eventually grow stale, and would lose the original effect. But the tried and true responses, those we should make sure that we continue to do if we know it works for us. And for instance, just to help you get through a stressful time, or Let's say you're having a day that you just woke up and you had a nightmare and you're just down, and you can use these lists to help pull you back up to where you need to be functioning and to be feeling healthy, somewhat healthy and calm down and relaxed, right? So this is some good information, and if you want to look at this yourself, you can find it right on that website, www.irvingstudios.com, and that's IRVING Studios, irvingstudios.com. And then it's child_abuse_survivor/monument/coping lists. So you can just go right onto his website and just click on, I went on the website and clicked up at the top there on self-care. And it just sort of brought up the page with all the information on it. And there's 4 activity lists that he has here. And one is the daily, weekly activities. And this is the one that I thought, we'd start with. And I think we'll just start with this maybe tomorrow night, because I'll be back on for a half an hour tomorrow night. I'll be back on for 15 minutes in the 5:30 tomorrow morning as well, but I figured we'll talk about some other things, and we'll keep this to the half hour segments, just because there's more time to talk about it. The 15-minute show is really more for just some quick news and encouragement. So there's 4 activity lists that he has here, and you can go on the website and check these out and get started. I know I'm going to be looking at them myself. And if you'd like to phone in, I have a guest call-in number, and that's area code 917-889-3736, and I'll check my chat room too. I do pop in there every now and then. And there was a couple people here, and I've got the Teacher's Corner. There's a nice lady on there, and she's awesome. She's also on blogtalkradio.com, the Teacher's Corner. And you want to listen to this lady. She has a great testimony, and I listened to her show last night, and she I tell you what, I was so empowered listening to what she had to say, and so moved and touched by the word of God that was coming from her. And she's a preaching the word of God, like, the real word of God. And she says, like she says on her show, I'm coming at you real and uncensored, and this is the word of the Lord, and I just love it. So make sure you tune into the Teacher's Corner and listen to her show. She's got some great information, and I just appreciate her sitting in on my chat room. And so yeah, we're just talking about some activities that might help survivors of child abuse or sexual abuse or any kind of abuse, really, domestic abuse. So this could help anyone. This could be, a useful tool for anyone who's suffered from any kind of hurt or abuse, right, that just takes you to a place that's so painful, right? And you can just make these lists, and then you can go through. It actually gives you, I can see now that if I make these lists, what it's going to do for me is it's going to allow me to have something tangible in my hands that I think, okay, I've made these lists, and now I can go ahead and use them. It's almost like it's a step in the positive direction, right, by making these lists and stuff like that. It sort of helps you work through your issues, I guess, and helps you to see that we do need to take care of ourselves, and we do deserve to have a good life and to look after ourselves and to take care of ourselves, because, that's why we're here. That's why God put us here, and I mean, I have, I just love the Lord, and I'm not, without Him, I'm just nothing. So, but that's, if you're just not into faith-based healing, you can get these activities here, these 4 activity lists, and I'm actually going to do them too. One is a daily, weekly activity to take care of yourself and stay healthy. That's what this is what Michael C. Irving says. And then number 2, you can create boundaries. So you can create a list for boundaries. And number 3, we can create lists to relieve stress. And number 4, we can create lists that will teach us how to cope with crisis, so that we're not, if we do end up in a bit of a crisis, we can learn how to get ourselves back around out of that crisis. And so this is going to be some great information. And if you want to find that, that's www.irvingstudios.com. And you can go on there and get those lists under the self-care. And One is manage stress before it is out of control. List number 1, make yourself a list of daily, weekly activities to take care of yourself. For instance, it's just as easy as number 1, shower every day. Number 2, take a long walk 3 times a week. Number 3, listen to music to start your day. So whatever music that just makes you feel good. For me, it would be music. It would be, music about the Lord and what He's done. Just worship and praise music. But for you, it could be some whatever music that just gets you going and excited. You can start your day with that. Number 4, have some form of leisure every day. Make sure you take time for yourself. Number 5, make time for therapy. So maybe make time for a chat group, or if you feel like if you have a therapist, make sure you have time to maybe journal or talk with your therapist. And for me, I belong to some different. I belong to a few different groups, and they're Ning groups. One is a faith-based group called the Silver Braid. It's the silverbraid.org, and they are a group of people. It's all started and headed up by Ann Bissell in the States, and they do some great work with women. Actually, anyone who has been involved in the sex trafficking or sexual exploitation, or anyone who suffered from sexual abuse or domestic violence. And so that's where I kind of fit in, because I'm a survivor of secondhand domestic violence and some sexual abuse myself. So they're on Facebook. And that's where I keep in touch with most of the members. But it's the Silver Braid Survivors of Sexual Exploitation Network. They have a 1-888 number. It's a toll-free number. Give them a call. 1-888-702-7273. They have safe homes for adults and minors. They have a database with 25 cities partnering and with resources. And what they do is they help rescue and restore victims of human trafficking. And they also work with just people like myself who are secondhand victims of domestic violence. And they do some great work. And I would just suggest that you contact them, and I'll give you their website. They are at, I'm just looking through here, silverbraid.org. I believe you can just type in the Silverbraid. Yeah, www.thesilverbraid.org. And on Facebook they're there, and they also have a Ning group, and it's a faith-based group, and you can find that as well. And I just you can get such good support there. And also I belong to the Child Abuse Safe Place for supporters, for abuse victims and supporters. And let me see, I'll try to bring this up too. So yeah, there's some great information out there, and if you need any information, please make sure you get a hold of me. You can contact me here on Blog Talk Radio, or you can call into my show 917-889-3736, and I'm actually now learning how to watch my switchboard. So, because at first I wasn't quite sure how to work it, but now I'm getting a little more familiar with the whole thing. And so if you need more information, please make sure that you do get a hold of me. Leave me a message in the chat room, and I'll get a hold of you with more information, because I have some great resources for victims of abuse and for survivors of abuse. And I've got about a minute left, and I figured tomorrow night, half-an-hour show, Monday evening, 9:30, we will go into creating the first list, and maybe talk about the first list and maybe the second list if we have time, from the Child Abuse Monuments website. So I hope this was helpful for you. I hope you have a great day. The show is coming to a close here. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 5:30 just for a quick chat, one child abuse survivor to another. And I hope that this just has such meaning in your life, and that you will reach out to those around you. Make sure you get the help that you need. Don't sit and suffer in silence, and don't suffer on your own. And if you're thinking of committing suicide or self-harming yourself, call 911 or you dial 911 immediately and get the help that you need. And make sure that you do, because I want to hear you on my show next time telling me how you went out and got that help. And God bless you all. I hope you have a great day, and we will be talking to you real soon. And if there's a topic that you'd like to bring up, make sure you let me know. And if there's any kind of great websites or information that you have, be sure and let me know, because this is what this show is really all about. Child abuse prevention, human rights abuse prevention. It's up to us, you and me, and anyone else who wants to get involved and just keep passing the word. And because prevention and awareness is really the only way to get the word out to stop child abuse. So I thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.